Hey everyone. Hey Lex. Hey Jen. Hey Elizabeth. I'm so glad you caught one too. Hey Abra. What is up everyone? Yeah, I'm gonna be like super busy over the weekend, so I figured I would try and get another one in. But I'm pretty sure like Saturday night, Piece of Men's Shoes, I'm doing a live with Alex Erickson and a couple other people on her Real Talk channel, I think. I don't know if she's decided yet, but just keep an eye out for that. I think we might do like a creator panel Saturday night. But tomorrow I'm gonna be at the beach for the day for my cousin's 40th birthday party, and then on Sunday my son has his buddy's birthday party during the day, and then I'm sure he'll want to go fishing or something. So I'm like, let me cram in when I get. Hey Linda. So I'm sure everyone has seen that Zap Girl apologized last night. She did a whole live. It was like 3 minutes long. I'll play it for you guys. She had like a 3-minute. It might be the first time you caught a live, really? I had no idea this is the first time you caught a live. Well, I'm glad you caught a live too. Problem is I don't usually go live in the afternoon that much, and I should, because there was like a whole different crowd in the afternoon that I don't get to see when I do my nighttime one. So we're calling it an apology. Yeah. Oh yeah, he already is quite the little fisherman. He's like, I don't know what it is, but he catches more fish than all of us. He uses like smaller hooks, and he'll just be pulling them in like crazy. We go for the bigger hooks for like the bass, but he'll pull in bass, he'll pull in bluegill. He loves fishing. My music is still playing. Oh my gosh, I don't have my speakers on. All right, it's off now. Usually I go back and turn it off, but I have my speakers on so I can hear it. I didn't turn my speakers on today, so I wasn't paying attention. All right, here, you guys want to watch the apology video together, even though I'm sure y'all have already seen it, but thanks, Lex. It's off now, right? Hey, Diane. I am enjoying I haven't really started my Friday too much yet. I need to, though. Get going, but I figured I'd come on here first, and then I'll start getting stuff done. All right. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Share my screen. Can y'all hear that? Hold on. Let me turn on my speakers so I can hear too. I was trying to be dramatic. Maybe like dun dun dun. You know what I'm looking for? All right, so I'm trying to make like a little super chat thing that I can play when I get super chats, like a little jingle. Hey, Lynn. That's all right. Take your nap, girl. ACW. Hey, Circle Box. Long time no see. Circle Box. Uh, what was I saying? I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, I wanted to get like someone who can scream some good heavy metal. And then I'm gonna put some heavy metal music and then make a video of all the lizards head bobbing. But like, I want to dance. I mean, I would dance every time I got a donation. I would do it. Not this very minute because I'm not on camera, but when I'm on camera, hell yeah, I'd dance. Don't help my dad. Sorry. All right. Hopefully y'all can hear this. I know my speaker's on. Let me turn my speakers on. Yeah, same. Cement. I don't know. I mean, like, here, I was shocked. Just hey, Pointer Lover. Just really how like much this just blew up. Like it was like it just took on a life of its own, and naturally because this is like infuriating to people. There's something about respecting people who've passed, especially children. Hey, Poncy, and causing further pain for the family and things like that. And I said this yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. But like I said, this is that a lot of times when you first get into YouTube crime, it does it. At first, it's like, oh, this is cool, like it's a mystery. We got to figure out who did it. You know what I mean? And kind of like look at it from that kind of point of view in the beginning, and then as you follow some cases and you just see how hard it is, you start to like understand it from like a victim's point of view, and how you handle things kind of changes. But like I just feel like we don't really have a huge excuse for Zav because she's been here since Watts, which is pretty much where most of, I would say Watts was really what, like, I know it was here before, like the true crime community was here before Watts, but I'll say like Watts really kicked it off. Most people started at the Watts case. That started their YouTube. A lot of people came later too, but the Watts is like really where it started to be like a thing. And she's been there since then. And there's other videos of her being careful. She even Hey, thumbs up. I just sent you something, girl. I don't know if you've seen it because I haven't looked at my phone, but look. Hey, Ryan. Tisha took Cannon's life. Is that not a good thing? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, I'll play her apology video real quick. I know y'all probably already seen it, but we can go through it. I'm sorry, but I just don't think anybody naively thinks, yes. God darn it, no audio. Hold on. I can hear it in my thing, so yeah, I can start it over. Sorry. I played all that too. Why is it? Hold on. Share screen. I don't see an audio button. Share tab audio. Okay, it should be there. All right, let's try it again. Sorry, I was talking to Dave. He brought me in food because I was starving. So I was looking at him and talking to him while I was playing. That's why I usually would pause it a lot earlier. And then I looked at my chat and I just see Caitlin has my name in caps. I'm like, oh man, what did I do? Yeah, he brought me some snacks. All right, tell me if y'all can hear.
If you're listening to this, then you likely know about the last few days. I want to apologize to everyone I've hurt, but especially Cannon's family. I've been doing some major soul searching and reflecting. There are many trying to define my motivations, and while I'm not looking for forgiveness or trying to make excuses, I do hope to provide additional context that has not been made clear. I have followed the Letitia Stout case closely, and it was actually during the trial that I made the official records request. And it was in El Paso County, Colorado. I requested all the video, audio, and written records. I made no request for autopsy photos. I wanted all trial records, but my main interests were interviews with Letitia. The autopsy photos just happened to be in the files. I spent time reviewing what I received so I could provide more info from the trial. I believe many of my images were already shown during the televised trial, and I saw the photos on other public YouTube channels that live streamed the trial and shared the evidence. I didn't think any of the images were new. These photos were already public, although the video I put together.
I get that they were showed at the trial, but like the trial photos, like I was watching the trial from my widescreen monitor, and I couldn't make out a damn thing in those pictures besides colors, really, and like a shape. And I just yeah, they were cropped, they were blurred. You couldn't even see like what you were even looking at. So I get that they were out there, but like what she put out there, I feel like was a lot different than what they put out there. And again, I'll say this for people who haven't seen it. I did see it because someone sent it to me like, "Hey, look at how she like presented this. It's terrible." And like how she did it was just I don't know, it was nasty to me. She had a picture, trigger warning real quick. I'm just going to explain it. She had a picture of Gannon laying outside of the suitcase he was in and where he was found. And she like hella zoomed in on his face, like zoomed in like his face was taking up most of the screen, and he was already very badly decomposed. And then she like compared like his picture to like his face and was like talking about his, like his teeth and his nose. Then she zoomed in on like the maggots all around. It was just gross. I don't know. I didn't get to like hear her whole like I just saw like pieces of it, but I didn't get to hear her like whole explanation. And then she showed like the autopsy photos and had like the medical examiner like talking in the background explaining it. But I guess she like clipped the audio of the medical examiner or the person doing the autopsy and like put it behind the photos. Now, the photos I seen were blurred out, but it is kind of confusing because it makes me wonder if maybe they weren't blurred out originally, and then she went back and fixed it and changed the link. And now, obviously, we won't be able to figure that out because, it's removed. But people had made comments, and I was told that someone had said they thought they, seen it. So I don't know. But if it was just like very unnecessary, I don't know. I don't feel like she needed to do it. And then if there's a video of her talking about the Watts kids autopsies back in the day. And she was even afraid to read the reports of the kids. So I'm not really sure why she was okay with doing this, but she did advertise it on her channel. Or I have a clip of that and I can play that afterwards if you want to see it. But she did advertise it. And she literally said that she had gone through all the stuff and thought it out. So it's not like she just, quick ran and did this. Well, Regina, I've said this several times where I think, and I said this yesterday too, I think there's a lot of YouTubers who have made a mistake at some point and been attacked at some point. And, it happens to the best of us. Some people run to try and get something out, or, you just don't think about things before you do it. But I just feel like the level of this is a little bit like worse than those things. And also it's how you handle it too. Like, she could have taken it down when, it was upsetting to people, or when Patreon removed the link, and then she doubled down and actually reposted the link. So I don't know. I do feel like, I will say that I'm glad that there's accountability being taken here. But like, I do worry because I worry for her well-being because of how I guess viral this has gone. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know either, Linda. I don't understand. I don't understand it either. And don't get me wrong, it was hard. Like, I had this happen to me before where I was covering a case and I literally just found out about it, and I told everyone hey, you're just learning this with me. And somebody sent me the family's Facebook group, so we were just looking through the Facebook group live on my channel, and I was reading out what people were saying, and then people started attacking me saying I was spreading misinformation and stuff. And I literally cried about it for 2 days. I was so upset because I never wanted to do that. I was just hey, I just found this out. This is the family Facebook group. Let's just read some of the posts and look into it. And here, I didn't know that the family had abandoned the Facebook group. And yeah, I can't imagine how it would be if it had gone viral and people were very mad about it. But I think what I did wasn't as, on this level. But yeah, see, I don't eventually, at first I was trying to explain to people hey, that wasn't my intention. All I did was just read off what I saw, and was just, telling people I was doing it in real time. But I took the video down and I, apologized. And I just feel like she took a very long time to do that, or it made it worse. When she could have done damage control early on, she doubled down and it just backfired on her. All right, let me play.
With the coroner's voice was my own creation. I chose to put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence. Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security, and I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon, and I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum where the views would have allowed me to make more money and the photos would be seen by more people. Because the video was placed behind a paywall, rumors about the images not being blurred or being different than what was shown in trial started to surface. No photos shows genitalia. I have made no jokes about the photos. I don't even cuss on my channel, and I would never allow derogatory remarks about a victim. I realized my intentions were not communicated well. My channel style is sort of me hanging out with friends and speaking off the cuff, and I did not articulate my reasons or think my decision through. At this
Yeah, see, like what happens is things like spiral, you know what I mean? Well, see, Circle Box, what happened was it was the family's Facebook. It was a missing guy who went missing in the ocean. The story I'm telling that I did, that people gave me help for. And the family put up a Facebook group to organize like search efforts and stuff because it was pretty early on. So that was the only, like, besides a few news articles, that's where like all the information was kind of at. So I went into the family Facebook group and I said, like, hey, super early on, I just learned about this. I'm just going to the family's Facebook group, to see like basically what people are saying. And basically the family had like abandoned this Facebook group like immediately, and there was a bunch of searchers and stuff who went there who were getting frustrated because they were being turned down, and they were leaving their remarks, and it just spiraled. And YouTube does that, like things spiral very fast, and news gets out there very fast. Yeah, like sometimes, exactly, Elizabeth, like sometimes you're guilty of not thinking things through. Like I didn't think like people are going to be offended by it because it wasn't really like what I was saying. It was what I was reading and what, yeah, I was just reading, like I was reading what the searchers were saying and stuff. And like I said, oh, like, if this is true, that's strange, stuff like that. But I was just reading what my opinions were very little on it, but basically saying like, oh, if this is true, it's strange. Like they were saying they were being turned, the searchers came from other states and they were being turned down. So I was like, oh, that's strange. Why would they turn them down? Stuff like that. But people were trying to say that I was spreading misinformation because I was getting it from Facebook, Reddit posts and stuff, because people had posted a few Reddit posts in there. And I wasn't trying to spread misinformation. I was kind of just like showing what was going on, I guess, because it turned into this like whole big ordeal. Everybody was talking about it. But regardless, like my point is things spiral super fast, and this spiraled like hella fast. And I cried for 2 days, and it wasn't even like near this. So like part of me does kind of like worry. Oh, Dennis, this is somebody explained. Did somebody explain it, Dennis? This woman shared autopsy photos of a young boy who was murdered. He was 11, and YouTube is mad, and it is spiraled uncontrollably. That's a good point. If you have, I don't have over 90K people, so she's been here for a long time. She's been a creator for a long time. She has been in situations where she's been called out before. So she does know to be careful, but I'm thinking maybe she considered that this could happen and maybe thinking bad publicity is good publicity, but this publicity, I don't think she ever thought it would reach this level, and this publicity is not good publicity. When you got the victim's family doing interviews on national news, it's bad. So, yeah, I agree. They do need to make a law preventing this from happening. And look, I've said this a couple times too. I don't think there's an issue if people want to look at autopsy photos, if you are into a case and stuff. But my issue is the distribution of it. Putting it online, there should be like like a clause that says, if you redistribute these photos or put them online or sell them, you could get in trouble with the law. That like there should be a little clause that says that, because the problem is with redistributing them, even though she thought it was behind a safe paywall, like she says, she knows damn well that any single person on that Patreon can screenshot, can screen record, and then reshare, kind of like Natasha Cooper did. Natasha got that link, screenshotted all that, did her own editing, and then shared it again. That's what people do. That news travels fast, and people will hop on that and share it. And maybe she didn't think that it would, maybe she thought it would stay in a close corner of her Patreon, but she has 90K subs. So you can't just assume that. You cannot assume that. Yeah, people are pissed, as they should be. And this is my issue. When I watched her cover Kylie Rodney, when people would say things on her panel that were just downright wrong, you know what I mean? When people would say things that were just downright wrong, she would play dumb. Like, she would go like, oh, is that what you think? Like, really? And I feel like she kind of like plays, like she knew very well that Kylie wasn't fake, or that Ikmail wasn't a child trafficker, or you know what I mean? Like, she went along with all these wild things, and she didn't say like, hey man, this is like when Ryan Upchurch was saying all his theories. It's your responsibility as a creator. If somebody's like, slandering somebody to the point where they're calling them like child traffickers, you need to be like, hey, like, chill, bro. That's a very serious claim you're making right now. And she just plays this like, oh really, do you really think that, blah blah blah. So I think she does like a very good job at trying to like play this naive person, but now that everyone has kind of seen it already, like, nobody's buying it. And here's the other thing too. She knew. I'll have to show, I think Chronicles of the Shady did it. I will play that next. But you'll see she knew that it was being spread online when the link, she put up a post in Patreon that said, this link got spread around so much that they deleted it. Like, Patreon deleted it. And then she said, so I had to make another link for y'all. So she knew that the link was getting spread around. She put it in her Patreon post, that she knew that the link was getting spread around so much that Patreon actually deleted the link. So at that point, she knew it was getting spread all over the internet. And instead of deleting it and letting it be deleted by Patreon, she made a new post and reposted the link. So I just don't believe this. I don't.
This time, my Patreon website has been shut down. I am not sharing any of the photos or video anywhere, although you can see the photos published on other popular channels. Nothing you see is from me, nor will ever be. To those who have supported me and followed my channel, and to the true crime community, I'm sorry I let you down. I cannot imagine the pain Gannon's family has gone through. My anger over what happened to Gannon is the reason I started following the case. I'm not this evil, heartless person like many are saying, but I'm also doing a lot of self-reflecting, and I'm looking into sensitivity training. I did not want to add to the family's loss with anything I said or shared about this case. And it will be a long time before I ever trust myself or my decisions again. To Gannon's family, I have no words that can make this better. No one should have to ever go through what you guys have been through. I'm so very sorry for any pain that I've caused you.
All right, I'm going to show you guys this other video so you can see what I'm talking about. It has over 10,000 downloads. Exactly. See? Hold on. Wait till y'all see this. So this is it's a video of the post she made on Patreon. So you can see that. And by the way, this is the Chronicles of Shady. I'll post their link to the video as soon as I play this. She does a lot of clips and does a really good job with it too.
Voice was my own creation. I chose to put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence. Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security, and I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon, and I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum, where the views would have.
All right, so look, this shows, she said in her video, I had no idea that it was going to be shared the way it did. Like, I had no idea. Hey, that girl. And then she, right here, says, sorry, you all people came in here and shared the link to other platforms so much, it disabled the first one, so I had to create another one. So she made another link. Hold up. Let me finish this, and then I'll share the link real quick.
Have allowed me to make more money, and the photos would be seen by more people.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Well, if it was downloaded, so the 10,000s of downloads was because it got passed all over the place. Spelling this right? It's a link to the video. I'll get you a link to her channel too, real quick. The first one was the video. Hold on. And I'm sharing her channel link too. I think it's a girl, right? Yeah, she put it in an unprotected Dropbox that wasn't like password protected. So basically they can just share it wherever. For free. I mean, that's obviously how what's her name got it too, NC. And then people can just screenshot it and send it everywhere. So even if it was downloaded 10,000 times, it could be just from the Dropbox and not from her Patreon. Be something else. Hold on a second, I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, the other one. So the other one is a video of her. I'll just explain it. It's her during a live, and she's like, you know, I can play it. I have the clip. I do worry. Like, I do worry though that I just feel like I do worry because it's like this is like taking a complete life of its own, and I mean, I would be just. I don't think I would ever come back to YouTube. I don't know. Like I worry about her well-being, I guess, like how she's going to handle it, everything. But it is, I'm like stuck in the middle because it's so wrong what she did. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find All right, I'll just play Chronicles of Shady. I have it somewhere in my thing, but I'll just play. She has it on there. Yeah, that girl, that would have been a great idea for if she just emailed individual, like as the Patreons joined, like emailed them individually. Yeah, I agree, that girl. Yeah, her recovery, yeah. Same. I don't think I've ever seen something like this ever get like attention to the point where it's gone to like news broadcasters and like Emily Baker, Kendall Ray, you know. Like this is Chronicles of the Shady as well. Here's that link. I don't know if she gave the money back. I mean, she paid a lot. I can tell you right now, she paid a lot of money for that file because I have the prices of how much all that stuff costs. And I can tell you that entire file, everything, probably costs about $17K with the later prices. The older prices is probably like $30K for the whole file. I don't know if she ordered specific things or the whole file, but the price list is unbelievably expensive. Like, unbelievably expensive. It was 17. The first, okay, put it in perspective. The first set of prices, basically, they put just for the photos, it was 400. But if she ordered the interviews and everything else, the entire file would have been about 30K. All right, so they made a price list, and then they remade it, and it was a lot cheaper. So if just for the photos alone, it would have cost her like $400. But I'm saying if she ordered anything else in that file, like the interviews, the jail calls, any of that, like if she ordered the entire file was like probably $17K with the new prices. But just for the pictures, it was about $400. I'll show you guys the price list after I'm done playing this. I'll show you guys the price list. Colorado. She got them from Colorado. Anjanette, she says it in her video that she got them from Colorado. And Anjanette Levy, yeah, I have the second price list too. I'll show you. Hold on. I'll show you guys real quick. I have the first price list and the second price list. For the pictures, it depends what she ordered. You know what I'm saying? If she ordered the whole file, it was very expensive. If it was just the pictures, it wasn't. So here's the original price list. Give me a second. Let me stop my screen. Here's the original one. The photos, it said estimate pending still in this one. But if you total up the entire case file, it would be about $24,000 or $25,000 for the whole case file, like roughly. For the old prices, okay? This is the old prices. This is the original prices. And this didn't even count the crime scene photos and the jail records. You're welcome, Punksy, of course. Okay, so then she probably ordered the entire case file. So here's the new prices. So just for if she ordered the whole file, the jail phone calls were 7,000. Here, I'll get my calculator out and we'll tally this. The jail calls were $7,296. If she didn't order them, she might just order the other stuff. And the case report, which was hella reduced, was 266. So the original case report was like 2,000. The 911 audio, 12 plus 6 plus 129 plus 375, 1,662 plus 302. All right, so jail records for the first 10 pages. I don't know how many pages in the jail records, but and the crime scene photos were about 400. So 400. So it's $10,000 for the entire case file, roughly. If she ordered the entire case file, it would have been like, yeah, from what I've heard, she does have a degree in psychology. I've heard that she does. But yeah, this is the price list. Yeah, I heard that her social blade was removed. Like, it's not up anymore, so you can't look. I mean, people could just check her channel, but I guess it's easier for people to check social blade. I didn't know you can remove yourself from social blade. I had no idea. All right, let me put this other video on. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
Put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence. Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security, and I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon, and I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum, where the views would have allowed me to make more money, and the photos would be seen by more people. Pictures, autopsy and stuff. Like I said, it's not going to be on YouTube because I'm too afraid that it's against policy. And I was tempted to like try to contact one of the YouTube people.
So this is her on her YouTube live. Explaining. Is Regina still here? Regina, I'm just talking about the situation. I mean, everybody is. I don't know what you want me to do. I said I feel bad for her. I do. But I also feel bad for his family and anyone who has to deal with this.
People that works there and ask them, is like, if it's for educational purposes, would I be allowed? But I know they won't give me a straight answer because they're just so vague. I've asked them other things, and what they'll do is this is probably how they'll answer. Here's a link to the policy guidelines, and they'll send me a link to the freaking YouTube policy guidelines that I've read a million times. That doesn't tell you anything. So like, no, I bet you're just going to be a waste of time. So yeah, I'm not going to take a chance. But yeah, so just go ahead and it's Patreon. I think it's like $3 for the lowest tier. You can just cancel after. You can just do it 1 month and be done. You know. I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum, where the views would have allowed me to make more money, and the photos would be seen by more people. Pictures, autopsy and stuff. Like I said, it's not going to be on YouTube because I'm too afraid that it's against policy. And
Oh my god, here I'm talking the whole time and I'm muted. I'm like the worst with sound today. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, I mean, you know, it'll be forgotten about and people will move on. You know, right now it's still fresh in minds and it's still, you know, people are still upset and, you know, it was wrong. And that's that. But anyways, I'm gonna move on from this and I'm gonna talk about did y'all hear about the Long Island serial killer guy? He's in custody right now. I was kind of shocked. To see this. So the guy, yeah, exactly. That girl will be forgotten in like a week, I'm sure. Well, probably not a week, but hopefully that this situation, the only thing I can hope for is that this creates some kind of law. And then no sound. You can't hear me? Hopefully that this will create a law where they'll change this and then we won't, you know. Yeah, a month or more maybe. A week's a little too soon. I was might hit my button. Okay. So the guy that they have in custody is an architect, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. Like apparently he was hold on, let me show you the People magazine article. I wanted to look more into the dentist stuff because I've been following that too, that dentist that poisoned his wife, but here he is. Look at this dude. Let me share the article. I don't know if she'll be able to circle box, but okay, Punksy. Thank you so much for the super sticker. You know, we love you here, Punksy. Yeah, I did too, Diane. They can? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, YouTube does have a short memory, man. People will just move on. I mean, I don't in particular, like if somebody bothers me, I usually stay away from their channel because I just like once I get annoyed by somebody, I just can't keep watching them. But all right, so the suspect in Long Island serial killer case, ID'd as Architect Rex. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Hewerman. 11 sets of human remains have been found around Long Island's Gilgo Beach since 2010. More than a decade after the bodies of various young women began piling up around Gilgo Beach in Long Island, New York, a suspect has been taken into custody, a law enforcement source confirms to People. Rex Hewerman, an architect with an office in Manhattan, has been identified as the suspect, the source confirms. This guy probably has... Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't think of that girl. Really? That's crazy, Circle Box. I didn't know that. I don't see people just using it as an example. He has an office in Manhattan. So this guy obviously, like, if you got an office in Manhattan, you must have some money. You know what I mean? It's not clear if Huerman has been charged. People is not able to contact him. It's not clear if he has an attorney. News 12 Long Island was the first to report the arrest. The killings, dubbed the Long Island serial killer case, first came to light in December 2010 when the bodies of Melissa Barthelemy, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, and Maureen Brainard Barnes were found wrapped in burlap and placed within 500 feet of one another, buried in the marsh on Gilgo Beach. All four women have worked as online escorts and had been missing between 2007 and 2010. The remains were uncovered accidentally as police searched for 24-year-old escort Shannon Gilbert. Oh my gosh. Is that how Shanann spelled her name? Is that... Or no, Shanann's was with one N and two N's at the end. Who went missing after visiting a client who she met on Craigslist in a gated community of Oak Beach and then fleeing the man's home. Her remains were found December 2011. Yeah, let's not get into a political conversation, yo. I stay away from religion and politics. Just because it always turns into an argument. You know what I mean? I don't have any issue with I don't get upset over anyone's political sides or whatever, but I just like to avoid political conversation because it just never ends well. That and religious talk. It was shocked seeing a YouTuber get sued for showing facts. It's crazy. It happens. Also, not about winning there. About what YouTuber? Circle back. I'm curious. In March 2011, 2 months after police identified the remains of 4 online escorts, the remains of 6 more bodies were unearthed along the beach. 4 of those remains were women. 1 was a female toddler, and 1 was an Asian male wearing women's clothing. 2 sets of the remains were later linked to dismembered torsos of women first discovered in Manorville, about 40 miles away. Wow. In January 2020, police released photographs of a black leather belt found at one of the dump locations they believe likely belonged to the murderer. The belt is imprinted with the letters WH or HM, possibly the suspect's initials. Is his name begin with a W? Because they call him Rex, but Huerman is his last name, so maybe. At the press conference, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart said the belt was handled by the suspect and didn't belong to any of the victims. The same month, police announced the creation of a website, gilgonews.com, dedicated to sharing information about the investigation, where tipsters can post anonymously. Oh, yeah. Yeah, lawsuits definitely are about draining your bank account. Oh, they don't have that website anymore. Huh. I wanted to look at it. Oh, I'll have to look into that. I've never heard of that person. So anyway, I've seen people posting this guy's like house, and it's just really weird because if he has an office in Manhattan, it just doesn't like go with it. But Nerdy has some interesting tweets he's been putting up about it. So I'm gonna check out his stuff. Hold on. He's like been posting like crazy all morning. Oh wow. My goodness. He tweets so much I can't even keep up. Hold on. Let me just share my screen so y'all can see it. "13 years after the bodies were found." It's been that long. Holy man. That's the guy right there. These are all the women. Oh, and I'll go back to the articles. He's been arrested as part of the probe into Gilgo's serial murder started in 2010 when Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old sex worker for New Jersey, vanished. I read that already. What is this? I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Okay. Rex Heuermann. I'm an architect. I'm an architectural consultant. I'm a troubleshooter. Born and raised on Long Island.
Okay.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987.
Been working in Manhattan since 1987. There's going to be a press conference this afternoon. I wonder if they had it already. Oh, 4 p.m. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's about to start. We can watch it. I got to find out where they're having it at. Billy Baldwin went to school with him. That's his architectural consulting. 11th floor of a building on Fifth Avenue is closed off. Co-working space that Rex Heuermann used. Crime scene vehicle outside and state police on the scene as well. Here is his charges: 3 first degree, 2 second degree. Kids were told not to visit the house of Rex Heuermann on Halloween. That's from Newsweek. Oh, really, Ava? You're in architectural stuff? That's Rex Heuermann's house. Look at that house. No way. He's an architect and that's his house. He's also been online searching for sadistic content, including child exploitation material and photos of victims and relatives. I would see his wife driving a beat-up green Dodge Charger. Human skeletal remains were apparently found shortly before the arrest. All right. Let's see if I can find where they're having this press conference like now. I didn't even know that it was going to be right now, so. I guess hour. Where are they having it? News Nation said they'll be live. Let's see. I don't know if they'll be live on YouTube or on their channel. Oh, all right. Yeah, they're going to be live on YouTube. All right. Hopefully I can stream them. Just putting the News Nation link in here, but. Worst case, I just want. Oh, pretzels. Yay. I love pretzels. It's 4 o'clock. Why are they not live yet? Ooh, that sounds delicious. I have a snacky snack myself. I just haven't been eating it yet. Some broccoli and turkey and this like mushroom sauce with some potato wedges. Like, what is going on here? Well, let me look and see if I can find any other ones, but we'll keep that up in the meantime. Oh, WFLA. We could try that. WFLA.
Signal out.
All right, we'll do WFLA.
Just horrendous. And this is a scenario that is unfolding for a lot of different media organizations that are having difficulty calibrating any kind of
signal, because this is the most highly anticipated press conference of the day, without a doubt. Social media, of course, talking about this story quite a bit, as far as going back to 13 years ago, when body after body, remains after remains, they just continuously kept getting found in Gilgo Beach, New York, as they were searching for, authorities were searching for at the time, missing 24-year-old woman Shannon Gilbert of Jersey City. But as those searches for Shannon, I'll show you some of the video that we have here as well, as those search efforts for Shannon would play out over those weeks, those exhausting days and weeks, they would just continuously find more human remains. And every time they sent off the human remains to determine who that person was, it was another female, and it was not Shannon Gilbert. They kept finding all of these remains until the body count reached double digits. And of course, these victims, their families have been just praying for justice for more than a decade now. And an arrest has been made in the form of 59-year-old Rex Heuermann, who told his attorney, Michael Brown, "I didn't do this." Rex Heuermann pleading not guilty in a Long Island arraignment just this afternoon. So we're trying to get an improved signal here for you folks. But as of right now, the signal continuously is breaking up due to the high volume of media presence at the location of the District Attorney's Office of Suffolk County. This is Riverhead, New York, and we're trying to recalibrate this signal to get the press conference back here for you. We'll do our very best to bring it here to you live. One of the reasons why there's a lot of people moving around right now is because they're trying to improve the signal quality. But as I explained earlier, as far as the analogy that I can use to describe what it's like when you have an inside press conference at an official government building like this, everyone's trying to get on the same internet, and it's like cramming 50 toothpicks into a straw. Everyone's just fighting and competing for their bandwidth real estate, and certain signals are going to, as this signal improves, the signals for other media organizations, theirs are going to deteriorate. So it's going to be a tug of war for bandwidth as they try to get a feed out from the district attorney's office in Suffolk County.
Okay,
but we wanted to get live with you here, folks, across all platforms, to give everybody a chance to reacclimate, re-understand this story, or for those of you who have never heard of the Gilgo Beach serial murders, find out about.
I'm gonna have to do a whole
this is
live about this case and break it
this
down.
Community in Long Island for a long time, and now it has really taken
deep dive
a turn
into
for
each
those
victim
in
and stuff, so we have a
Massapequa,
better idea. Thank you.
because they have been. If New York officials are correct, if investigators have their man and they are indeed right, if this person, Rex Heuermann, 59 years old, is the suspect responsible for at least these 3 murders, then this has been a frightening reality, because they have been living.
I'm curious about the
maybe on
Halloween
the
thing.
same
What did they
street or
reach
going
out to every
work or
family in the
taking the Long
neighborhood
Island
and say,
Railroad,
"Don't
all
send
with
your
this person
kids
for
to
a
this guy's
period of
house"?
more than a decade.
Keep it on the hush hush.
I'm going to step away for a moment to try to recalibrate this signal, but the press conference hasn't started just yet. We expect it to begin sometime in the next few minutes. Again, they called it for 4 o'clock Eastern time. The time now, 4:04 Eastern time. Stand by. All right, good news here for you folks. Another feed is starting
does
to
kinda look like-
materialize here.
I
As soon
can
as we have this
definitely
feed, we will
see the
go
resemblance
to
with
this
John
one
Wayne
here as
Gacy.
well. And actually, no, this feed is now
Oh,
live.
yeah, we can
So
definitely
you see what
break
I'm
this
talking
down,
about
like,
with the
completely, look
competing
into all
signals
it.
coming out of the District Attorney's Office of Suffolk
'Cause
County. That's what
I've
one
heard of
feed
this, but
looks
I've
like,
never, like, deep
and this
dive
is
into
what
this case,
the
so.
other feed looks like.
Oh,
This
so
press conference expected to begin momentarily. If you
Newsweek
just
reported
found this live stream and are looking for information,
that
don't go anywhere. And just like we
the
were talking about, the tug
kids
of
were
war, right?
told
The
not
other
to go
feed
to
looks
his house
awful.
on
This
Halloween.
one has now
I don't know if
reached
that was just,
HD
like,
quality. So
a
we'll stay here with
neighborhood,
you
like,
live
rumor,
on this feed
or if
as
they,
we're
like,
about to get
or if the county,
the
like,
press conference starting here
contacted
any
people
moment.
and told them not to go. You can go, Len. I can keep an eye on it. I was like,
All right, folks, I just communicated with our team. We now have 3 feeds up coming into the Stream Center, and being able to, of course, bring you this coverage here from the Stream Center. We're able to get a lot of different feeds loaded up here, but by far the toothpick that is winning, so to speak, as far as the analogy I was making earlier, this is the best feed, and we'll stay with this feed. Again, the press conference expected to begin momentarily. Again, the highly anticipated information,
well,
and actually
while we're
now,
waiting, I'll look up
I think
some
we
of
have,
the
I thought that was
like victims.
officials walking in. Or no, this is actually the press conference. I believe this is beginning now.
Oh,
After the press conference is over, what we are going to do is we are going to take your comments and questions live. So after the press conference, we'll break down what we have learned and what we are still to learn here from New York. Again, this is live on all platforms on WFLA Now, live from the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. I'm standing here with my law enforcement partners in the Gilgo Task Force to announce the indictment of defendant Rex Andrew Heerman, 59 years of age. He's been arrested by the Suffolk County Police Department's homicide detectives, and he's been indicted in a grand jury presentation by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office for the murders of Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Is ongoing.
So Shannon Gilbert may not be tied to this?
Missing between July of 2007 and September of 2010. They were found in December of 2010 by the Suffolk County Police Department, and then there was nothing, absolutely nothing. For the next 13 years, their cases went unsolved until today. When I took office in January of 2022, I made Gilgo a priority. I made Gilgo a priority before I took office. I met with the victims' families,
Love you too, Lynn. Take a nice
some
nap.
of whom I'm proud to have standing with us today. And I told them that we were going to handle this case differently. We were going to do it differently. And that when I showed up, you weren't going to see me
Hey,
calling
Rhoda
the
Gal.
media and being on Gilgo Beach with a giant magnifying lens looking for clues 12 years after the case. What I was going to do was I was going to work with my task force. We were going to form this task force, and we were going to work together, and we were going to use the grand jury, the power of the grand jury to reach a determination in this case. Because the grand jury has two things. It has power, it has reach. You can obtain documents You could interview witnesses. But the other thing that the grand jury has secrecy.
You
No
can do it
one knows
silently.
what you do when you operate a grand jury proceeding. And we knew that when we were investigating this case and when we dealt with the media or whatever it was we were doing, we were playing before a party of one, because we knew the person responsible for these murders would be looking at us. So we were very careful how we handled the investigation. We maintained the integrity of the investigation. Most importantly of all, we maintained the secrecy of that investigation, and I think that's paid dividends as we've seen today. Now, I think that when we had the task force, the first thing we did, got together with Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison. We formed the task force. Our first meeting was February 1st of 2022. And what we did, what all of the agencies here, we made the commitment. We were going to take our most talented investigators. So in the district attorney's office, we took ADAs, myself included. We took analysts, we took detective investigators, and they worked on a daily basis with other talented investigators from all of the agencies here. We started that in February 1st in 2022. 6 weeks later, on March 14th, 2022, the name Rex Heuermann was first mentioned as a suspect in the Gilgo case. A New York State investigator was able to identify him in a database. And from that point on, we used the power of the grand jury, over 300 subpoenas and search warrants, looking into this individual's background to bring us to this day. So I'm proud. I know that this case is over, but I'm proud of what we've accomplished up to this point. I know we have more to accomplish, but I'm also thankful for the partnership of the task force, because certainly without the participation of the task force, we wouldn't be standing here. Before I thank some folks and turn it over to our partners, I just want to talk a little bit about the evidence in the case. I know a lot of people know about the case. As I indicated, the victims went missing between July of 2010 and July of 2007 and September of 2010. In December of 2010, their bodies were recovered. They were buried in a similar fashion, in a similar location, in a similar way. All the women were petite. They all did the same thing for a living. They all advertised the same way. And there were similarities with regard to the crime scenes. All the women were bound at the head, at the midsection, or at the chest, and later at the legs. The other thing I think that that's been talked about in the media was they were bound by burlap. That has taken a life of its own in the media, and the burlap has been described or thought to be the burlap that's used at a nursery for. That's not the burlap that was used in this case.
I wonder if Rex is like real first name.
Camouflage burlap used for duck blinds of hunting. Obviously it was used to purposely hide the bodies. One thing that became immediately apparent was at the time of each of the murders, the murderer, the defendant Heuermann, he got a cell phone and a burner phone, which is prepaid and anonymous. And for each of the murders, he got an individual burner phone, and he used that to communicate with the victims. Then shortly after the death of the victims, he then would get rid of the burner phone. Right away in December of 2012, FBI CAST analysts, special agents with the CAST unit of the FBI, they immediately began looking at that cell site data. They've compared the victims' phones with the burner phones, and they immediately honed in on some similarities, specifically in the Massapequa Park area. And they looked at an area of a confluence of 4 cell towers, and they realized that this had significance because the perpetrator of these crimes was probably located within this area at or around the times of the murder. And that was mapped out. That was called the box, and it was an area in Massapequa Park. The FBI also managed to do that for an area in Midtown Manhattan. And so that was an investigative lead. The other investigative lead at the time was, even though there was a significant amount of time that elapsed with regard to before the victims were recovered, there was some significant evidence recovered. Specifically, there was a hair recovered from Maureen Brainerd Barnes from a belt buckle that was around her legs. With regard to Megan Waterman, there were 3 hairs recovered from her, one from around her head area, one from around her leg area in the burlap, and then there was one caught in between the tape. And that was recovered.
His wife's hair?
Amber Costello also had a significant hair that was recovered during the time of the recovery. But again, the crime scene, because it was out there for so long and because it was exposed to the elements, those hairs were degraded, so you couldn't use traditional DNA analysis on it. You would have to wait and use mitochondrial DNA. And back in 2010, the technology wasn't there for mitochondrial DNA. So the investigation proceeded, but also technology proceeded as well. And then in January and February of 2022, we formed the task force. We began working collectively. And then a mere 6 weeks later, on March 14th, 2022, Rex Heuermann was identified for the first time. And the manner in which that was done was the New York State investigator looked at a database. Amber Costello, the day before her disappearance on September 1st, 2010, she met with an individual for the purposes of having him pay her money for her services. But she involved herself in a ruse where once the individual gave her money, and other individuals came into the house, pretended to be significant others, confronted the individual with the purpose of making that individual uncomfortable, having him leave without retrieving his money. And that's exactly what happened. So that individual was identified as a person who was between 6'4" and 6'6", a large man, thickly built, not necessarily overly muscular, but just a naturally big person with glasses, white, and dark hair. Also of significance was that the fact that he was driving a dark-colored black first-generation Chevrolet Avalanche with a very unique feature that was between it's a pickup truck, so it was between the cab and the bed, and that was identified. Again, that was back in 2010. But it wasn't until March of 2022 that database was searched by the task force, and this individual was identified. That individual was Rex Heuermann, the defendant. And right away, there were some commonalities that came right to the fore. Rex Heuermann, 6'4", largely a large person, not necessarily muscular, but a very physically large person. He has glasses. He has the dark hair, and also of particular note, he owned at the time that first generation Chevy Avalanche. There was more. He lived at 105 First Avenue, which was located within that box area that the FBI first discovered in 2012. But there was more. Also, he worked at the time at an Architecht and he owned his own architectural firm.
They're giving all the
at an
deets.
address at 19 West 36th Street in Midtown Manhattan. And that was also the area of interest that was identified by the FBI in 2012. Again, that was March 14th, 2022. And from that point on, our partners and my office, we used the grand jury to continue to investigate. And we executed over 300 subpoenas, search warrants pertaining to this individual to find out more information. One of the things that we did is we followed him because we wanted to get an abandonment sample of his DNA, which we were able to do. We also got DNA samples, abandonment samples from his family. And then we went back and we got mitochondrial DNA testing. And with regard to, there's an aspect of New York State law that doesn't allow me to talk about DNA testing, specifically at press conferences. It's so I can't do that. However, at the arraignment and also when we filed our bail letter, we talked about the significance of that evidence. So if
So
anyone
they got
needs to see
DNA.
that, but suffice to say, that evidence was significant, especially with regard to
I heard they got
the
DNA off
other
the pizza
evidence that we had
box.
developed. But it was there was another interesting aspect. We looked at the Uhrman family travel records, and we learned that during the murders of the last three women, Bartholomew, Waterman, and Costello, that during the commission of those murders, the defendant's wife and children were out of New York State, and he was alone in the tri-state area.
What a
We also
surprise.
went back and looked at his cell site records, and we compared his personal cell site records with that of the 4 target phones, and we saw that there was areas of commonality. In other words, that whenever the target phones would bounce off a cell tower, if the Uhrman personal phone bounced off a tower, it was always consistent and in close proximity with the target phones. And at no time was there ever an instant where those target phones were, for instance, in New Jersey while the defendant was on Long Island. So that was completely consistent. The other thing that we looked at was we looked at his use of burner phones. And we followed, using the grand jury, using the great investigative help from our partners, we followed his use of burner phones. We were able to identify 7 separate burner phones that he used. We were able to use fictitious or fraudulent email addresses and get Google warrants. And from there, we got his searches. And we learned what the defendant was searching. In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation. Not only was he looking at investigative insight, he was trying to figure out how is the task force using cell phones to try to figure out what's happening. What are the developments with regard to the task force? And this really supported our decision to keep our investigative focus secret, because we knew that this one person would be watching, and we didn't want to give him any insight into what we were doing. And we also didn't want him to know just how close we were getting. So we maintained the grand jury secrecy, and we maintained the integrity of our investigation. In addition to those Gilgo searches, he was compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives, their sisters, their children, and he was trying to locate those individuals. In addition to that, there was a lot of torture, porn, and what you would consider, depictions of women being abused, being raped, and being killed. In addition to all of that, we continue to look and we were able to determine that Chevy Avalanche that was used during the commission of the Amber Costello crime, that Chevy Avalanche was in South Carolina. And again, with the help of our partners, we were able to seize that Chevy Avalanche pursuant to a search warrant, and we're certainly going to analyze that. In addition to that, pursuant to the arrest of the defendant last night by the Suffolk County Police Department, we obtained one of his burner phones, his last burner phones. As I said, this case is not over, it's only beginning. We're continuing to execute search warrants, and we anticipate getting more evidence. Before I turn it over to my partners, I want to thank a lot of people in the room. First and foremost, I want to thank the victims in this case. You know, it's always inspiring as a prosecutor when you get to meet the victims. And while sometimes our defendants could embody the very worst of humanity, it seems that invariably our victims embody the very best of what it means to be human. And in this case, it was no different. I've gotten to know the families, and I'm inspired by them, and I'm impressed by their patience and by their dogged persistence in not only supporting their lost sisters or mother or daughter, but also really really standing for victims everywhere. So I want to thank them all so much. And I want to let them know that we're going to continue to work this case. The next thing I want to do, I want to thank our partners. I want to thank Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison. We said it was a change. And when we talked about, not going before the media, if you see, Rodney did go before the media, but it was always in a very controlled manner, and it was always with a controlled purpose. Again, we did that because we knew we were playing before an audience of one person.
I think you said,
and so I want to thank Rodney for his
2011.
partnership. Most importantly, I want to thank
For
Rodney for his
13 years,
integrity.
there was nothing. So
I think
13
in the
years
past,
ago?
the reason why these various investigations fell short was because there was a lot of outside influence, a lot of people who had nothing to do with the investigation, nothing to do with the investigation or any of the agencies that were actually handling the investigation. They still asserted pressure on those investigations. That did not happen with our task force. Our task force was run by our members, and we did what we thought was in the best investigative steps and what was in the best interest of the investigation. So I want to thank Rodney for that, and his whole team. I know that we have Suffolk County Homicide here, Kevin Byer. We've got Inspector Rowan, and I know that they've been around, and I know that they're here, and I know that they stand in the shoes of their past investigators, and I want to congratulate them, and I want to thank them for their partnership. I also want to thank Sheriff Errol Toulon. Everything I said about Rodney, I could say about Errol. Errol is an unbelievable partner. He was an unbelievable partner in this case. During the pendency of this case, and one of the reasons why we had to take this case
ran
down
out of opportunity.
was we learned that the defendant was using these alternate identities and these alternate instruments to continue to patronize sex workers, which of course made us very nervous. But with the help of the sheriff and his database and his analysts, we were able to continually stay one step ahead of the defendant. So thank you, Sheriff Toulon. I want to thank the FBI. I know Assistant Director in Charge Michael Brodak is here. I want to thank his entire team. When you have the FBI, not only do you have tremendous resources and insight, whether it's the sciences unit, whether it's CAST, whether it's CART, which is their computer unit, but you also have the ability to seize a car in South Carolina. I can't seize a car in South Carolina without the FBI. So thank you for that. And thank you for your partnership, and thank you for your willingness to work with us. I want to thank the New York State troopers. I know Major Udis is here and his team. This case is emblematic of great cooperation, but we always get that same level of cooperation from the state police, no matter what case we're working. So I want to thank them. Their investigators did a great did great work on this job.
Yeah, I seen that. Billy Baldwin tweeted.
And we couldn't have done it
He's
without
a quiet guy.
Lastly, I want to thank Nassau County Police Commissioner Pat Ryder. I don't know if he's here. Did he make it? This case, as I said, spans 13 years, and during that time, Pat Ryder has been our neighbor to the west. When it started, I think he was a sergeant, detective sergeant, uniform sergeant, but whenever we needed something to be done, or whenever the task force needed something to be done, Pat Ryder would do it, and he would do it quietly without much fanfare, and we know he would keep the confidentiality of our grand jury and our investigation. So I want to thank him for that. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Rodney Harrison.
Good afternoon.
Who's this guy? Prosecutor?
Today is a good day. And before I acknowledge the individuals that had a role in getting to this place, I would first and foremost like to offer my deepest condolences to the family members. To the family members of Amber Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman. I can only imagine what you had to endure over the last decade regarding knowing that your killer was still loose. God bless you. So I've had the privilege of being the police commissioner nearly about 2 years now, and I have had that investigative experience in the NYPD as a detective, as the chief of detectives. And when I was going through the process of being the police commissioner, my engagement with the county executive was I was very familiar with this unfortunate homicides. And I wanted to let it be known that this was going to be our #1 priority. But I also want to make this very clear that this arrest was made by the investigators assigned to the task force. I announced during a press conference 18 months ago about a new team effort that was going to investigate the homicide, and that was going to consist of people from Ray Tierney's office, from Mike Broddock, FBI. Mike, thank you so much. State Police, Steve, appreciate your support. Dr. Earl Toulon, Jr., thank you, sir. As well as the investigators from the homicide detectives in Suffolk County. Gentlemen, thank you for all you've done, working together with us, making sure we are here today. I also want to thank my partner, Pat Ryder. Pat, good seeing you, man. And former NYPD Police Commissioner, Keyshawn Sewell, for providing resources to assist in the investigation that brought us here today. So one of my first acts was to survey the scene. when I first got assigned as a police commissioner, me and Kevin Breyer went over to Gilgo Beach. I want to thank Kevin. You know, when I first met Kevin, he broke the whole case down and where we stood. He knew the case like the back of his hand. He worked tirelessly in this case. Kev was in charge of overseeing the task force since its creation, and you did a phenomenal job, Kev. Thank you. So there's something that I learned from a former NYPD police commissioner, James O'Neill, which is in order to fight crime or to solve investigations, you have to make sure you're working with your law enforcement partners. The blueprint in making this arrest was a whole team effort. Everybody left their egos at the door and made sure that they brought the knowledge and the resources to this investigation. Fresh eyes on this case and the resiliency of our investigators allowed us to identify Rex Heuermann. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families. If not for the members of this task force, he would still be out in the streets today. However, even with this arrest, we're not done. There's more work to do in this investigation regarding the other victims of the Gilgo Beach bodies that were discovered. I'm going to encourage anybody that still has information, call our Crime Stoppers hotline, 1-800-220-TIPS. I want to recognize and thank my Chief of Detectives, John. Thank you for your great work. Deputy Police Commissioner Anthony Carter, both of you who provided update information regarding the case and let it be known if there was any resources that they needed that you brought it to my attention. Since the discovery of the first victim,
Hey, Speculation
of scrutiny.
Station.
And criticism regarding how this investigation was handled. I
This is a
will tell
long
you
press
this.
conference. Oh, he's
The
the commissioner.
investigators were never discouraged. They continued and uncovered evidence and followed leads. They never stopped working and will continue to work tirelessly until we bring justice to all the families involved. Last but not least, I want to thank my predecessors that came before me, the work that they did. I want to thank them for really laying the foundation that helped us get to here today. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Brodak. I'm the FBI Special Agent in charge of the New York office's Criminal Division. The FBI expended its full set of resources in support of our local and state partners to advance this investigation. The charges show that we can overcome the most difficult challenges when federal, state, and local law enforcement work together under one task force. While nothing can fill the void caused by the loss of a loved one, through today's announcement, we are hopeful that the families of the victims begin to experience a sense of peace, closure, and justice, and that the general public feels safer knowing that an alleged killer is no longer roaming free. The actions taken today should serve as a reminder that the FBI, along with our law enforcement partners, will continue to be resolute in our determination to bring all offenders to justice, no matter how many years has passed. I would like to thank Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney and his prosecution team, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and the Suffolk County Police Department, the New York State Police, and the investigators and staff of the FBI New York Field Office, including the Long Island Violent Crime Task Force. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Errol D. Toulon Jr., and I'm the Sheriff of Suffolk County. I would profoundly like to thank the District Attorney and the Police Commissioner for including me not only here today, but for including the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office and recognizing the importance of jail intelligence. It is extremely important when you realize that we created our human trafficking unit in 2018, that there are victims in our community, and that intelligence is being shared by many of the men and women who are incarcerated today. And we have seen many disjointed investigations occur, and leading up to the leadership of these two men have really brought everything together. I am proud that today we stand here a little bit closer to bringing closure to the families and extend my
Hey,
deepest
Annalise. Hey,
condolences to
Crime
all of you.
Curious.
Because of the nature of this case,
Yeah, we've had really
and
big
recognizing
storms
that
lately.
human
It's annoying.
trafficking
It's like never-ending
and corrections
storms.
intelligence is so important, we realize that there are many other cases that are
I
going
didn't
on
realize this is going to be
that
like
will
the longest
help to
press
solve
conference
going
in the
forward.
history of press
So I thank my
conferences.
intelligence staff and team that are here today for their diligence and their work. While we did our part in this investigation, we continue because we have to house
We
this
want to see if any of the family members.
We have already designated or talked about certain locations where we will house them. And in addition, the security measures we will implement in our facility to make sure that this individual is brought to justice the way he should be. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Richard Allen, the field commander with the state police. And I want to start by expressing my sincere condolences to the family members that are here today. Although losing a loved one, you can never completely get rid of that pain, but hopefully these steps that are taken here today are a step in the right direction for you to start in the healing process or work through the healing process. I want to thank the members of the task force, all the agencies you see behind me. When we were approached in 2022 to be part of this task force, we were fully engaged. Glad to be part of this. We assign investigators on a full-time basis. You know, what you see being done here today is the end game of agencies working together, as was said before, with no egos, all egos put aside, with the sole mission to find justice for these victims. You know, here in Troop L, Major Stephen Udis oversees the operations down here. He has been intricately involved in this task force since we became partners with it. And I'm going to ask him to come up and say a few words or expand upon this a little bit of our role in the task force.
Thank you, Colonel. Good afternoon. I'm Major Steve Udis, New York State Police, Troop L, Long Island Troop Commander. I'd like to take this opportunity to start off by acknowledging the DA, Ray Tierney, and Commissioner Rodney Harrison for having the vision to see that forming a task force might breathe new light into this investigation. The state police were asked in early 2022 to join this task force, and once requested, we were more than willing to do so. We were also very pleased that we were able to make some very meaningful contributions in this case to help propel it forward. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the task force members from the different agencies and congratulate them on a job
I know,
well
it's
done.
been like 15
I think
minutes
this
of just
case
like
represents
congratulating
an
everybody.
example of what we as law enforcement can do when we pool our resources together and we work together. I would also like to mention the state police member assigned to this task force. You were provided with a mission, and that mission was to participate in this task force, put everything else that you were doing aside, place 100% of your attention on this case, and help push this case forward. You more than accomplished that mission. I congratulate you on a job well done, and I commend you for your outstanding work. To the families, I'd like to say that on behalf of myself and the New York State Police, we offer you our deepest condolences. We recognize that these crimes may have happened years ago, but that pain continues.
Alex.
Our hope is that this development today provides you with some relief and
Is there
some
any updates
comfort,
on that case,
knowing
Alex?
that the
The
person
Portland, Oregon
responsible
guy?
for your
Is that
loved
what you're
one's
talking
death
about?
is now being held accountable. and he's no longer a threat to anyone else in society. I want you to know, additionally, that the state police is not done here. We are remaining committed and will continue to support the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, the Suffolk County Police Department, and this task force as we move into the next phase of this process. That's the prosecution. I would also like to say something to everyone watching this with us today. There's been a lot of discussion here today about charges, about the suspect, about what happened, but I would also like everybody to take the time to join with me and keep the families of the victims and the victims themselves in your thoughts and in your prayers. Each one of these victims was a family member and a loved one, and their void and their loss caused great pain, and they did not deserve this. Nobody is deserving of this. We hope this development today will bring some comfort to them as they move forward. Thank you.
Wondering if that's family in the back.
Does
Or
anybody
all
have any
standing
questions?
all around. I would love to hear from the family. I'm curious if they're gonna talk. No way, really? And I heard that there's another potential serial killer by the in Texas.
You know,
That
sure.
Rainy
Before
Street
I do
one.
that,
Didn't
just,
they
you know,
just
I'm
find
standing
one
back.
like
I
not
realized
that
I didn't
long
thank my
ago?
own team.
That's crazy.
So I want to thank my chief investigator, Rich Zacharis, who is without, I'm so lucky to have. I want to thank Nick Santamartino, ADA Nick Santamartino, ADA Michelle Haddad, ADA Andrew Lee. I also want to thank my chief assistant, Alan Bodie, and I want to thank all of the incredible analysts that we have working for us at the Suffolk County DA's office. So having said that, I will now answer your question. You know, I think that there was a tension in the task force, and it was a good tension because, you know, there's a tension between getting the evidence necessary to charge somebody, but also keeping the public safe. And that's the tension that we always deal with. So as we were working forward, and you know, we had Suffolk County PD, we had the FBI surveilling the defendant. Obviously, that can't be all the time, but we were reasonably assured with that. But this individual was a person that continued to patronize sex workers at all hours of the night. He continued to use fictitious email addresses, fictitious identities, burner phones. And so as we worked through the case and we got closer and closer, all of a sudden, and we built the evidence, suddenly the balance tips in favor of public safety. So, you know, I think we all wanted as a task force to continue it, but I think collectively we felt that it was time to you know, to strike that balance and to take him off the street. So that's what we did. I don't believe they, does anybody want to say anything? No, they're here. I could tell you they're the Waterman, Bartholomew, and Brainerd Barnes family members, but they're here first and foremost to support their loved ones, and we're happy and grateful to have them here. This portion had to deal with the deaths of these 4 young women. And that's what we focused on. That was what the grand jury investigation was focused on. I talked about the commonalities, and the commonalities, all of those commonalities that we talked to were unique to these 4 separate cases. So that's what we're working on. I think the other members of the task force said, you know, we're going to continue, you know, and continue to work and investigate and try to get a small measure of closure for all the victims' families. But for right now, this defendant, it's this defendant with these 4 victims. I'm here to talk about what we did with regard to these 4 victims, and as I open my address by talking about the need to maintain investigative secrecy. So we are going to maintain that investigative secrecy. And when I talk about other individuals and other cases, it will be after they have handcuffs on.
You mentioned that there was a New York State officer made the link with Herman. He looked at data, and that's when Herman came up shortly after the task force. Can you explain that? Can you talk a little more about that?
So, I mean, we talked about some of the evidence that was there. Obviously the that phone evidence was great evidence. And then there were other commonalities, there were other investigations. But I think one of the good things about having a task force is basically you strip it all down and you start from scratch, and then you use the DA's office, because the DA's office has to get you the lifeblood of an investigation is information. And the way you get information on a cold case is the district attorney's office issues subpoenas in conjunction with the investigators and execute search warrants, again, in conjunction with the investigators. And then you mine all that data, and then you let that data take you where you need to go. So that's what we did in this case. And 6 weeks in, the break in the case, a significant break in the case, was the avalanche, and the fact that this guy, he was described by witnesses as an ogre. He matched the description of the ogre and where he lived.
Was the avalanche the link there? Was that what jumped out?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of things, right? It was his physical size. It was his where he lived, where he worked. The fact that his family members were out of the country at the time of the commission of the 3 murders. The fact that he now then you start looking into him, and then you start getting burner phones. Well, we had up to 7 burner phones. He's using these fictitious email addresses. So then you follow him and you get an abandonment sample. Then you go back to some of the old evidence. So it's, there are, I mean, March 14th, 2022 was a huge day for the task force, but it's never one piece of evidence. Well, there's like what they'll call lawman searches. And basically what it is you run a certain make and model of a car and certain other, where you live or what you do for a living. And then you get data, and then you mine that data for something that would match with your case. And you do that, you don't do that just, you do that 100 times, until it hits, until you get the right data points. So we can't talk about ethically in New York. We can't talk about any statements the defendant made, but he made. We're not turning over any statements. I would say he was, yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. My kid wanted me to tell me that he caught a butterfly.
In between the bed and the cab, there's like a little triangular ornament almost, and it's unique in the way it's configured. It's unique to the avalanche. It was unique to the avalanche at that time, and that was something that was pointed out by witnesses. What? Well, the investigation is continuing, and I would never say never. And we're going to continue to look at, again, now this is a watershed event in this case. And so we've now are going out, and we're executing more search warrants. We'll get more information, more data, and together we'll look at that and see where it leads. I'm sorry?
I can't hear any of the questions.
So this investigation had to do with these 4 victims. So we've been in touch with the 4 victims through the grand jury process. With regard to victims in general and other victims, who lost people in the vicinity of that area, we speak to our victims all the time, but those are conversations that we keep between ourselves. So, so first off, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, the other 3, one went missing in 2009. I believe the others in 2010. She was in 2007, so it was a little bit more remote in time. We
It's
are
weird
we
that
are
they stop. They
working
just
through
stopped.
evidence. A lot of that evidence has to do with forensic evidence.
I know serial
And
killers
analyses
do
that are
like
not completed.
stop for periods
But
of
once
time
those
sometimes,
analyses are
but that's a
completed,
long time to
we are
just stop and never
we
do it
feel good
again.
about the case, and we're going to just continue to let that process go. And again, I think the initial plan was to allow the grand jury investigation to go a little further, but at a certain time, again, the task force felt, we need to we for reasons having nothing to do with the evidence in the case, we need to take it down. He's it's as a prosecutor and as investigators, he is charged with a crime. There are certain elements in which we need to prove that crime. We are going to prove those elements. We're going to work hard. We're going to convict him, and we're going to hold him responsible for what he did. And whether, what I think of him personally, whether I like him, whether I don't like him, doesn't matter. We are going to hold him responsible for what he did in this case. The grand jury is it's secret, and we're going to keep it secret. But we have an investigation, and it is continuing.
There was a belt that was presented publicly by the Suffolk County Police Department a few years ago with initials on it. I think one of the initials appeared to be MH or WH or something along those lines. Obviously, this guy's got an H in his name.
11 tornadoes. Holy
I
hell.
mean, he has an H in his name. He is, so it's, what was it, HM? Or WH? Yeah, so he's got an H in his name, and other relatives in his family have a W in their name. What that means, I don't know. I think that when you look at his internet searches, I think that provides a little insight into his state of mind. And again, we don't have to prove motive. We have to prove the elements, and that's what we're going to do. Well, you said women. With regard to the sex workers, what we did was we had him under surveillance. We had other means of monitoring him, and again, it's a process, and that process is you have to balance the ability to.
So he was still meeting
find
sex
enough
workers?
evidence to charge him and hold him responsible, with the balance of keeping the public safe. And it's
killing them?
not easy. And we decided at a certain point in time that that we needed to take him down because we didn't feel comfortable with it. So that's what we did. I don't think it was so much. I don't think it was so much the searches. I think that the conduct of the defendant was very consistent. I think, but the quality of our evidence was increasing by the moment, due to the great work of our task force partners. So at a certain point in time, we're like, okay, we can do this. I believe the cause of death is homicidal violence. Obviously, given the length of time and the exposure to a very harsh environment, forensically, there was not not a lot that could be done with the remains, other than come to that conclusion.
He owned 92 guns. It was said at the arraignment that
He has permits for 92 guns. He has a very large safe in which guns are kept. We are continuing to execute search warrants, so I'm sure we'll have that answer shortly. I'm sorry?
Is there any concerns that obviously you last was known to commit a crime in 2010 and it's now 2013? The passport was stuck in 2022. That's quite a large gap. Is there any concern?
I think there's always concerns. I think, you know, I got into office in January 22. We worked with our partners. We had our first meeting February 1st, and we worked and you know, March 14th was really that watershed day. And when I tell you, you know, I'd like to brag and say that my office was really working hard, which we were, but no other agency was working any less hard than we were. Once we realized what we had and we realized the stakes, all of our partners really worked. I mean, I think if you look at the folks standing here, I don't think that, you know, in the last 48 hours, any of us have gotten more than 3 hours sleep.
Running boring burn-on barns. How much more do you need to actually tie it into that?
We are going to continue our investigation, and when we are prepared, when we have concluded that investigation, we will, you know, we'll bring that to a conclusion, but we will not do it before.
All right, thank you. You have one more?
Between all the search warrants and the subpoenas, will you ever, like, ever think that you're going to lose them? Like, you know, reading between all the searching around and stuff?
You know, and I don't want to tell you, you know, exact investigative techniques because they're, you know, again, part of the reasons why they're effective is because people don't necessarily know what that, what it is exactly we do. But always a concern, but given the professionalism of our partners, their diligence and their commitment, we felt good about the case or keeping the case going until we didn't, and then we took it down. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
The press conference from the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Well, that was the longest press conference ever. They did give us a lot of information, though. Sounds like they have some DNA. They have some hair. I believe they got DNA off of a pizza box to compare it to. They have cell phone stuff. I mean, hold on. Let me see. I saw somebody put a list of all the things they had. It was so long, I kind of forgot everything. They found that belt that I think was maybe his wife's, because I think his wife's name began with a W. Why would anybody use a belt with their initials on it? That's just dumb. Where is it? There's a list of all the things they had so far. Now I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Selfies on a burner phone, cell phone data and pings, DNA, his wife's hair on a burlap. She was away on vacation when it was done. They have surveillance tapes of him burying some of the burners used and witness to first interaction with Costello ID'd the make and model of his car and gave a description. I'm thinking the initials of the belt tied to his wife. Hey, Richard. There's a Netflix movie about one of the victim's mother. Do you know what it's called? You know what? I've heard about this case and I've watched stuff on it, but it's been so long since I've watched anything. I can't remember any of the details. So y'all know that I'm gonna have to do a whole live on this and go through each victim and each thing, because that's just how I am. But I'm gonna get on that tonight, I'll tell you that. Let me see. Let me look it up. Eggs Long Island serial killer. Lost Girls. I think it's called Lost Girls. I think the movie was called Lost Girls. If anyone wants to check that out, if it's still on there, I would definitely be down to give that a look because, you know, I love watching that kind of stuff. But I've been on here for a long time. And sorry, Richard, if you just came in. Hopefully you'll come back next live I do. But hey, Thingatorium, I saw you, but I was on the phone with my kid while it was playing, so I didn't get to say hello. I'm going to end this, and tomorrow night, probably like 9:30ish, Alex we're having a live on one of her channels, Alex Erickson. I'm not sure if it's on her True Crime channel or her Real Talk channel, but we're going to do a like creator live where a couple creators are all going to get together and have a chat about all the things on YouTube and just I guess about like creator ethics, things like that. You know what I mean? Hello, goodbye. So keep an eye out for tomorrow night once let me see if it's posted. If not, I will make sure I post the link and all that. So on my community tab. All right. Here's the channel link to it. Probably true crime. Okay. All right. Then I'll get your true crime. Well, her true crime channel is Alex Erickson. Let me get it for y'all. You love the transparency here. I know she's done a couple lives on it, Lex. Right, Alex? I'm pretty sure you did a couple lives. That guy escaped from prison 70 days ago. Wasn't captured? I heard that he was in Reading. If he's in Reading, it's pretty close to me, like probably like an hour. But then I also saw he was from like Western PA, and I'm not from Western PA, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. You're a smart guy, eh? Well, anyway, I shared Alex's True Crime channel. Will be there tomorrow night. So hopefully y'all will head over there tomorrow. And yeah. I have parties tomorrow, and my son has a party on Sunday. So besides that, I'll be here tomorrow night. But besides that, I'm probably going to be a little busy this weekend. But I'll try and be back on Sunday and hang out with y'all. And then I'm going to try and do more afternoon lives because I know there's a lot of people who keep saying, oh, I'm so glad that I caught a live because I always do night ones. So I'm going to try and, switch it up. And do both. So I get to see more people in the afternoon. Okay. When you schedule it, I'll put it on my community tab. So guys, when she schedules the lives, I'm gonna put it on my community tab. So keep a lookout for that. And I will talk to y'all later. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night over at Alex's and then probably Sunday night on here. Bye.